Good evening. Happy Chinese New Year. It is the year of the fire pig, fire hog. I am the Falcon.
And I am the dove.
And I am the prince.
Yes, the heavy panting over here brought to you by courtesy of Black Labradors everywhere. But of course, this week was the Westminster Dog Show, so this week dogs rule. And the top dog this year is James, a beautiful Springer Spaniel. Boy, was he cute. I'm really glad I wasn't a judge because all those dogs were really terrific this year. And I like those little dog shows where you're running around in circles and parading around and looking really cute. And they have such interesting names. I mean, James is kind of, well, James. Last year it was Rufus the Bull Terrier. But I mean, there's dogs in there with those fascinating names. Like, for example, there's one dog whose name is I'm Harry Potter. That's just weird. The dog's name is I'm Harry P. That's just very, very odd.
And Prince is now licking the Falcon.
Yes. Of course. And he starts right when we start recording our podcast because, of course, that's what dogs do. So, it's a shame it's not a video cast.
This would be very funny if it was.
Very, very, very funny. And as we mentioned last week, there was a pending vote at Harvard for a new president, and Drew Faust has won the position, and as she has so sagely said, she will be the new president of Harvard, not the new woman president of Harvard. And I say, you're absolutely right. Congratulations. Kudos to you. And we hope that she has an excellent tenure. Earlier this week, some people were asking me about what I thought about Ghost Rider, because we're going to talk a lot about movies this week because the BAFTAs have just happened. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, that's the British version of the Academy Awards. And also there's a lot of new movies coming out in the next couple of weeks that are really, really, really incredible. And that's odd for February because usually the movies that come out in February, stink. So it's really nice that there are some movies coming out that are actually going to be fun, and some of them even enlightening.
The Messengers came out.
Last week. It was supposed to be very, very scary.
The number 23 is coming out.
Yes, and Norbit came out.
Norbit came out.
We hope doesn't kill Eddie Murphy's chance at an Oscar. We hope the people voting for Oscars don't know that Eddie Murphy is actually in Norbit because, well, gosh, it makes, I don't know, Borat look intelligent. I don't know. It's embarrassing that it made $33 million. I don't think that was a good thing. I think that was like an embarrassing thing. There are things in Norbit that, quite frankly, just shouldn't be
Hannibal
funny.
Came in second.
There we go.
And made less than half of Norbit. Now that should scare us.
That should really be scary. But just because it's entertaining doesn't necessarily mean it's enlightening. But we really hope that the Academy hasn't seen. And we'll have our Academy predictions a little later. But we wanted to talk about Ghost Rider because Ghost Rider is all about motorcycles. And of course, you can't talk about motorcycles, especially classic vintage motorcycles, without talking about Peter Fonda. And Peter Fonda actually plays the dark side of the Force in Ghost Rider, which is, it's going to be really interesting to see.
Based on the comic book.
How Marvel Comics and all this is brought to life. And when I first heard Nicolas Cage was cast as Blaze, I was like, well, I don't know about him being Johnny Blaze, but actually he really enjoys the comic. He's spoken about it with a lot of passion, and I think it's cool. Some people were saying, "Oh, the Academy Award winner is playing in this comic book thing." It's not Norbit, so that's the good thing. So it can't be bad if it's not Norbit, which gives rise to the February myth. Anyway, Peter Fonda. Talking about Ghost Rider, I was watching Martha Stewart. Yes, I watched Martha Stewart because Martha is cool. And Peter Fonda was on there. And he was discussing motorcycles and the motorcycles from Easy Rider. And, of course, you got to go back to the Easy Rider days and talk about him and Jack Nicholson. And if you have not seen that movie, you're not breathing. So get out. And if you're old enough, that is, please go and see Easy Rider. It's a classic. You got to see these guys when they were young. It's a very, very strange film. And Martha Stewart said that the guys from American Chopper were building her, an ethanol motorcycle. How cool is that? First of all, Martha Stewart bakes terrific cakes, makes wonderful bouillabaisse, and she rides a hog. I mean, what could be better than that? It is the year of the pig, the fire hog. We must celebrate this. Martha Stewart puts on her leather gear and rides.
And Ghost Rider has a fire hog, literally.
Oh, yes.
Literally.
Talking about the fire hogs. Have you seen the commercial for Jackson Hewitt? I think it is, where Ghost Rider goes to get his tax returns done.
Ghost Rider gets his tax returns done, and they have the effects and everything. And if you've seen the Jackson Hewitt tax commercial with Zorro, it's kind of like that, only with Ghost Rider.
And fire. It was really hard
and
for him to turn over his W-2s.
With the flaming skull on his head. And
it was hysterical. It was really hysterical.
That's great.
So I'm waiting to see this movie just for fun. Just for fun. It comes out this weekend. Go out, see it, have a good time with it. It's a light distraction. Like Nicolas Cage says, don't take it too seriously. But it does look like it'll actually be entertaining without being gross, like Norbit was. Anyway, let's move on to the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs were this week, and that's the British version of the Academy Awards. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put my neck out here. My vote is for a clean sweep for Forrest Whitaker in The Last King of Scotland playing Idi Amin. He won a BAFTA for Best Actor. I think he will probably get Best Actor at the Academy Awards. I really, really hope so. I have not seen The Last King of Scotland yet. I'm seeing it this week before the Academy Awards. It is very intense from what I understand.
Yeah, he's up against Will Smith and Peter O'Toole for Best Actor.
Yes, Peter O'Toole in Venus.
And Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin. I actually think Alan Arkin might stand a chance. What we're going to have to see.
I really liked Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness.
Speaking of BAFTAs, Helen Mirren was playing the Queen. The Queen, as you would expect for the BAFTAs, for the British, won a lot of awards. Only thing I thought was kind of strange about the BAFTAs were, with a few exceptions, and there were a few. Penelope Cruz was certainly one of them. I think Cate Blanchett was there. She always looks incredibly stunning. But some of the dresses, the women, Tandy Newton, she looked great. Some of the dresses women were and some of the hairstyles, it was like, is there a contest to be like the most goth or freaked out or looking like you're on acid or something else? Because some of them just looked really, really, really strange. Like they were going to, I don't know, Halloween party rather than the highest film award in Britain.
But this isn't The View, so we're not going to.
But this isn't The View. We're not going to go really deep into it. But yeah, I just thought, Falcon. I got to express my opinion. I just thought,
right? Eva Green's hairstyle. Well,
wow,
it was wild to say the most.
She was really bringing kind of a retro Bride of Frankenstein.
Now I have no problem with any hairstyle.
Yeah,
your hair could be 10 feet into the air for all I care, and I won't think anything less of you. But
it was interesting. It was different.
It was interesting. Yeah.
And if she hadn't had the eye makeup to go with it, maybe,
I'm saying some people might trash it. I would never trash it, but
no.
some people would.
I just thought, well, I would have wore something else. And, the Oscars usually are a very high-end fashion show. Rather, we won't say conservative, but you certainly couldn't wear like what Beyonce wore at the Golden Globes to the Oscars. You could get away with that at the Golden Globes, and boy, she has the body to get away with it, doesn't she? Yes! But we couldn't wear that to the Oscars. So, I was just surprised, seeing the BAFTAs on TV that, and the men looked smashing. All of the men looked absolutely delectable and delicious. But, some of them, because they're wearing, mostly suits and tuxedos. Everything from the Oscar de la Rentas, it's, really, really nice. But some of the women, it was weird. So I wasn't sure if there was, like, a contest or something there where they were saying, okay, we want you to look like, mega goth and kind of strange, and maybe
lots of
like
heavy black eyeliner.
Yeah, like you escaped from Bram Stoker's Dracula kind of heavy eyeliner.
But maybe that's just British styles nowadays.
Yeah, I mean they're a little bit more left on their award dress than we are here.
People from Europe, email us. Tell us how people dress over there. Enlighten us.
I was just surprised. I mean, like I said, there were some who were like outstandingly dressed, and I've mentioned those. There were just some I was kind of like, wow, interesting, very, very interesting. So this week is the Oscar nominees, and we're going to make some Oscar predictions tonight, and you know, we're going to have some fun with it, and we're going to have actually 2 categories of mention. We're going to talk about who we'd like to win, and occasionally that will actually be congruent with who we think will win.
Yeah, but and then we'll see how close we are when the Oscars come, and then we'll do a follow-up podcast after the Oscars with our review of the Oscars, our reactions, and how close we were.
Exactly. So, for Best Picture this year, the nominees are Babel, Little Miss Sunshine, Letters from Iwo Jima, The Queen, and The Departed. 5 excellent films. Sorry, Dreamgirls didn't make the cut. I think that's really unfortunate. But out of those 5 films, Dove, what do you think?
Who do I want to win?
Who do you want to win? We'll do who we want to win first, and then who we think will win.
Who do we want to win? I want Babel to win.
You want Babel to win. I want Babel to win.
And not just because it's a Mexican director.
Alejandro González Iñárritu's film with Brad Pitt, Cate Blanchett. Excellent film. As a matter of fact, 2 of the actors from the film for Best Supporting Actress are nominated against each other in the same category. This film got a lot of nominations. I would like to see Babel win, but I don't think it will. I think The Queen is an excellent film, did very, very well at the BAFTAs. The Departed is Martin Scorsese, and I'm about to have my Martin Scorsese rant in a few minutes.
Okay.
Letters from Iwo Jima, Clint Eastwood. They may just give it to him.
They might just give it to him.
Give it to him.
Who do you think will win?
I actually think Little Miss Sunshine might actually walk away with the whole package. I can't believe how popular that movie is.
I was surprised, but pleasantly surprised. I would like to see it win. It's probably my second choice for wanting to win next to Babel, but I think that the Oscars might pick The Queen.
It's going to be close. It's a good category. It's a tight category. I think if Dreamgirls was still there, would it win? I'm not sure. It's a very heavy category. I just wish that there had been 6 this year instead of 5. And there never are. There's only 5. But in this case, it was a good year. It was a good year. Particularly toward the end of the year. A lot of really good movies came out. I thought 2005 was like the drought year. It was like the equivalent of like the drought in the breadbasket of America kind of year. There were like 2 good movies that year, and you're just kind of like, okay, what do we do with the rest? I don't know. So you have to have an award show, so you had one. But this year, we actually have some really, really, really excellent films. And
we had some good animated films this year, too.
Yes, we did. We're going to get to those. We're going to get to those. And, of course, you can't talk about Best Picture without talking about directing. And a few years ago, the Oscars started changing up some things where if you had a movie nominated for Best Picture, you could pretty much ensure that you were going to have a director nominated for Best Direction. And that started to kind of break down in 2001, 2002. As you know, we all know, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers was nominated, and Peter Jackson wasn't nominated as Best Director. Actually, I thought at the time that was actually accurate. I felt that the film had some excellent tendencies, although it departed from the book about 80 minutes into it and never came back. But that aside, that was probably why the director didn't get nominated for Best Director that year. This year we have a similar circumstance, and in that we have Best Director nominations of Alejandro González Iñárritu, who made Babel, and we have Martin Scorsese, of course, for The Departed. We have Clint Eastwood, who did Letters from Iwo Jima, as well as Flags of Our Fathers. We have Stephen Frears, who did The Queen, and then we have Paul Greengrass, who is nominated in another category for United 93.
Now, who did Little Miss Sunshine? He's not here?
No.
He's not listed.
No. That's what I mean. It kind of, we're mixing it up these days.
That'll be funny if Little Miss Sunshine wins then.
Yes, it will. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's a tough category. Look, Martin Scorsese needs an Oscar. He needs one. He should have had one.
For Gangs of New York.
He definitely should have had it for Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York, which was up against The Two Towers, ironically. Gangs of New York was the best picture that year. It didn't win. But it should have. Martin Scorsese has needed to have an Oscar at least 4 other times. It's time for Martin to take the little naked guy home. It's time. He needs to take him home. I know the statue's heavy, but he can handle it. It is time. I don't think The Departed will win Best Picture, but I really, really believe that it's time for him to get something. And I'm not sure he will. I really kind of feel that they're going to give it to Clint Eastwood again.
Yeah, I think.
But no,
yeah,
I like Clint. Don't get me wrong. I like Clint. But, spread the love.
I kind of wanted Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu to get it, but Martin, it's long overdue for Martin.
It really is. It really is. And I want him to have it. Now, if Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu wins, we'll
be so happy.
Because he's mega talented. I mean, he's one of these up and coming directors that's just fresh and cutting edge.
Exactly.
And Stephen Frears, he did an incredible job with The Queen. I mean, talk about capturing a period in time and with the whole screenplay issue, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I mean, it's a tough category. I'm just going to say Martin should go home with a gold guy. There it is. That's the Falcon's rant for the week. Now, when we start talking about Best Actor, Leonardo DiCaprio probably could have gotten it in 2 or 3 films. But he's nominated, I believe, in Blood Diamond rather than Babel. And Ryan Gosling got nominated.
You mean Blood Diamond rather than The Departed?
Oh, he's in The Departed, too. Oh, yeah, Brad Pitt's in Babel. Sorry. Yeah. See, he's in so many things, I'm just so confused. But he's just an incredible actor. He's really growing into his own. I think he did a great job with The Departed. He's nominated in Blood Diamond. Ryan Gosling getting a nomination for Half Nelson. Now, I think Ryan Gosling is an excellent actor. I've seen him in a range of roles. Another young, fresh, cutting-edge person. I would be really happy if he got Best Actor. Will Smith. I really, really wanted this to be Will Smith's year. I cannot tell you how much I wanted this to be Will Smith's year. And unfortunately for him and Peter O'Toole, who of course is a staple to the industry, Forrest Whitaker is nominated for The Last King of Scotland. I think he's going to sweep. He got a Golden Globe already. He's got a BAFTA. I think he needs to make a trifecta for his shelf at home.
I would like Will Smith to get one, but
and he got a SAG.
Has Will Smith won an Oscar yet?
No.
So
he was nominated for Ali.
That's another reason why I would like him to win. But I think Forrest Whitaker will get it.
Yeah, and I really wish we could have just given it to both of them because
they were both wonderful.
What Will Smith did in The Pursuit of Happiness was just magnificent, and he played a real live person and Mr. Gardner, and his story is tremendously inspiring. And the fact that Will Smith brought this character to life with his own son, Jaden, just made it that much more authentic. But it wasn't just the father and son. It was a tremendously well-delivered role. And I just wish you could give it to both of them this year.
Yeah, let's talk about for a second, because both of these people are playing, Will Smith and Forrest Whitaker are both playing real people.
Yes. And, the interesting thing is, one day I'm going to have a real rant about this one. I don't want to go into that rant tonight. But Will Smith's film, The Pursuit of Happiness, was pretty much based on Gardner's book, where The Last King of Scotland actually surrounds an injected fictitious character into the real-life documentation of who Idi Amin was. And the actor is incredible, and it's a wonderful way to kind of tell the story. But I wonder, this is not the first time this has been done, where we've taken real life people and done this kind of major dramatic overwrite of injecting individuals who weren't really there historically to tell the tale. And I wonder about that, and I wonder about when that's chosen to happen and who chooses to do that and why we think it's necessary. Why couldn't we have told Idi Amin's story by the third person rather than injecting a young, rather handsome, I might add, Glaswegian gentleman to play a character that didn't exist? That takes nothing away from Forrest Whitaker's portrayal and delivery of Idi Amin. And by the way, Forrest Whitaker in real life is a vegetarian. I just want to point that out because you all know what Idi Amin was. So, if you don't know anything about Idi Amin, young people, do some Googling, get some history. There's some excellent books out on what happened during that period of his reign, and he was, scary. So, seeing Forrest Whitaker, who I've seen in so many films, I tried to see every single movie he's ever been in. I love him dearly. And the fact that he's a vegetarian just really, really knocks my socks off. He was on Martha Stewart. They had to do veggie food for a day. It was like, woohoo! But he's going to walk away with it. I really feel
Forrest
that.
Whitaker.
Yes. And I think it's Forrest Whitaker's night in that category. And I'm ecstatic because he deserves it. I just wish we could spread it around and give Will Smith some and give Leonardo DiCaprio some because, this is some of the hardest working guys around. Now, Best Supporting Actor, we have Alan Arkin, who, of course, is in Little Miss Sunshine, and Jackie Earle Haley in Little Children, Diamond Hounsou in Blood Diamond, Eddie Murphy, of course, in Dreamgirls, and Mark Wahlberg in The Departed. Who would have ever imagined where Mark Wahlberg started with that kind of rap group thing going on that he would ever end up being the actor that he is? I saw him in Invincible. I thought he really brought that character to life. I mean, I remember the Philadelphia Eagles in '76. This was something that was very clear in my mind. I thought, wow, he really did a great job with this. He's very versatile. He's very flexible. He was with George Clooney in The Perfect Storm. I mean, he's getting work all over the place. And it was nice to see him nominated. I can tell you that I think Alan Arkin's going to take that category. What do you think, Dove?
I want Dihimon Hounsou from Blood Diamond to get it. Now he might get it. But you know more about Alan Arkin and the rest than I do.
Yeah, a veteran actor, really a veteran character actor in many respects, and I can't imagine, to be honest, another role coming along that would put Arkin in this position again in another decade. I mean, who knows? He may get a lot of spinoffs from this of Oscar contenders. Who's to say? But I really feel like this is his year. Again, another tough category with some really incredibly talented people in it. Eddie Murphy, I'll tell you what, if he pulls it out, I will be so happy for him because Eddie has done a lot of work. We just got to talk to Eddie's agent to make sure that Eddie continues to do caliber work that keeps his name high on the list of fun and exuberant, but also things that take him to the next level. A Pursuit of Happiness for Eddie Murphy would be really, really terrific. So he never does another Norbit ever again. This is not, the Nutty Professor. This is into another realm of ugh. But anyway, nobody would be happier for him than me, except for him, because I think that he's long overdue. He really did an excellent job of bringing this characterization to life, but I think it's Alan Arkin's night.
Right.
Best Actress, incredibly difficult category. I'm so glad that I didn't have to vote for this. We have Penelope Cruz in Volver, Helen Mirren for The Queen, Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada,
Great movie.
Kate Winslet in Little Children, and Dame Judi Dench for Notes on a Scandal. And I love Judi Dench. She is so cool. I think it's Helen Mirren's year. Penelope Cruz did a great job in Volver. I think they might give it to Meryl Streep. Because when do they not ever give it to Meryl Streep?
Whoa. Drop the mic there.
They always give it to Meryl Streep. So I think they're going to give it to Meryl Streep again. I personally think
she's won before, right?
Oh, yeah. She's got a room.
Has Kate Winslet won before?
I believe she did win, didn't she? Yes, for Titanic. So she has won.
Okay.
And
Kate
Winslet does
Titanic.
some tremendous work.
Who?
We don't get to Kate Winslet. We don't get to see everything she does, but she does some really, really great work worldwide. And Judi Dench.
Kate Winslet was in
Little Women.
Little children.
Excuse me. I'm going back to books. I'm reverting back to books.
Little children.
Little
Okay.
children. And I think Helen Mirren, my guess is Helen Mirren should get it. But Meryl Streep might actually win. And you know, it's a tough category. It's a nightmarishly tough category.
I'm debating between who I want to win, between Helen Mirren and Judi Dench.
Oh, yes. Judi Dench and Kate Winslet. Wow, what a dynamic duo they made in Notes on a Scandal. And it's tough. It's a really tough category.
You mean Kate Blanchett and Judi Dench?
Kate Blanchett. Did I say Kate Winslet?
Yeah.
I did. Darn! Kate with a C. Yeah, I knew I'd do that. Kate with a C. I'm actually surprised that, you know, and Kate Blanchett is in supporting actress category, that she hasn't won an Oscar yet. You know, she hasn't. And when
Kate hasn't won an Oscar?
I know. Isn't that freaky?
She should have gotten it for Galadriel, or well, I guess she was a little too much in the background to be.
She should have actually gotten it for Veronica Guerin.
Yeah,
that was an
that
Irish
was
reporter.
That was the main character.
Yes, and she really, I mean, you know, and we saw her today in what was that movie with Ralph Fiennes from back in 1997.
Oscar and Lucinda.
Oscar and Lucinda.
we watched that briefly.
We were watching that. And
she had brown hair then.
Yeah, she has been quite a dynamic force, and you know, the supporting actress category isn't any better.
Come to think of it, Ralph Fiennes hasn't done. Has he done anything this year?
He did Flushed Away, I'm afraid.
Oh yeah, he did Flushed Away. And he did the animated film Wallace and Gromit, or was that 2005 or 6?
That was 2005.
Oh, okay.
One of the brief.
Okay, so he did. Yeah, so Wallace and Gromit was great in 2005. Anyway, yes, Ralph Fiennes was Flushed Away, but he didn't get nominated this year, unfortunately. Because we love Rafe.
He's cool.
We love Rafe.
The supporting actress category is no easier, you know, with Kate Blanchett and
So you think Meryl Streep's going to get Best Actress?
I do think Meryl Streep's going to get it, and I think I want Helen Mirren to get it. Nothing against Meryl Streep, because she was absolutely vicious.
Yes,
in The
I'm
Devil
nothing
Wears
against
Prada.
Meryl Streep or Judi Dench. Like I said before, I'm debating between Judy and Helen. But I think Helen. I'd like Helen to get it. And I think Helen might get it. Actually,
yeah, she might.
Yeah, I'm saying Helen will get it. You say Meryl Streep will get it.
Yeah, I'd like Helen to get it.
Let's just go on the record for that, and we'll see who wins.
And supporting
or maybe
actress,
both of us are wrong.
We have
we'll see.
Adriana.
Supporting actress.
Barraza and Babel.
Adriana Barraza.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett. Abigail Breslin, that cute little 10-year-old in Little Miss Sunshine, who can scream. Oh my gosh, can she scream?
Should I do an impression?
No. And Jennifer Hudson and that wonderful Japanese girl whose name I'm going to butcher. Please forgive me, Rinko.
Kikuchi, I think.
She has a dynamically wonderful character in Babel. Forgive me for butchering your name.
I hope we're doing it.
And, you know, it's a shame to have two actresses up against each other in the same category from the same film. You know, that
Adriana and Rinko.
Yes. Always leaves you feeling a little weird. But I'll tell you, I think it's Jennifer Hudson's night.
Oh, yes.
She will have all four. She's going to be what we refer to in golf as a grand slammer. She's going to win them all. She's going to have the BAFTA. She's going to have the SAG, the Golden Globe, and I hope the Oscar.
Woo, she's going to get all four
on her shelf. And Jennifer, now, I don't ever want to hear you again, girlfriend, say that you don't have confidence, because you are outstanding. And this should be a sign to you that there are no limits. And just move forward and do some roles that are going to honor you and challenge you and elevate what other young women see as their possibilities and diversities in acting. And the more I see young, talented women coming forward like this, the more hope it gives me that the industry will begin to treat actresses, and actresses of color in particular, with more respect and give them a greater breadth of opportunity that has been lacking for an extremely long time. Every once in a while, pop up with what I call the Lady Macbeth role, but they're few and far between. Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, that was one of those rare roles that was really out of the box. But we don't get enough of those. So, let's see more of those. And hopefully, for Jennifer, this is just the beginning. You're just going to keep on rolling.
Well said. I think I kind of wanted Abigail Breslin to win just because she's 10 years old and she's cool and she can scream and that's really cool. But I really want Jennifer Hudson to get it, and I think she will.
Yeah, I really do.
I think she will.
For Best Animated Feature Film, we have 3. They only ever do 3, and I don't know why that is, because there were more than 3 good animated films this year. We have Cars, and which was very cute, and Happy Feet, and Monster House. Now, this is a tough category, not just because the animation is good, but because, well, okay, can I say it? A little Oscar politics. I was really surprised Monster House made it, but when I know who made it, I know why it's there. So, I would say that, the documentary of An Inconvenient Truth done in animation with fiction would be Happy Feet. Happy Feet, Inconvenient Truth. Very, very similar films.
Very similar
thematically.
films, yes.
So,
for those who couldn't absorb An Inconvenient Truth, maybe they could absorb this.
Yes. Hey, just get some dancing penguins and some Earth, Wind, and Fire music. We're there. Okay? But similar messaging, and messaging that is attractive to children and understandable, and absorbable, and without scaring them to death until they're a little older, and then show them An Inconvenient Truth. But all 3 films, Cars, Happy Feet, and Monster House, are excellent in terms of what they've done with animation. They're 3 very different approaches. All of them have CGI. All of them have rotoscoping.
All have different kinds of animation. A very good variety.
Very good variety. I really think of the 3...
Both had very good plots.
Yeah, all of them had very good plots. I really think that of the 3, Cars will probably win.
Because Cars has won another award somewhere else.
Yes, it's already won. It won the BAFTA, I think.
I really want Happy Feet to win.
I don't know if it was SAG. It didn't win a SAG. It was something else it won.
No, it wasn't SAG.
Golden Globe. SAG's just actors. But
Cars won a BAFTA.
It did win a BAFTA. That's what I thought.
Cars won a BAFTA against Happy Feet, but we want Happy Feet to win.
We want Happy Feet to win, not only because it
was so good,
really, really, really great cast of voices, but also because it was just plain good.
It was good. This is what animated film should be. Seriously. Happy Feet is one of the best animated films that I've seen since maybe even as far back as The Lion King. I mean, we've had some really good animated films along the way, like Toy Story and Ants and A Bug's Life, and those were all pretty good in their own right. And Happy Feet goes right next to them. And it was really good.
It was really good, and I think one of the things that made Happy Feet stand out was the combination of shots that they utilized. They took
the cinematography.
Just unbelievable. And
for
you don't get that
film was
in
great.
Animation a lot. That's very rare. If you can remember back to the first time that you saw the ballroom in Beauty and the Beast, and the first time you saw the swirl of the Serengeti in Lion King, this is similar, only multiplied by 10. If you haven't seen the organic angles that were achieved in Happy Feet, you really have to see it. And I saw an interview with Robin Williams where he was talking about the fact that they went down to Antarctica to shoot the plates that they were going to use for the film, and they actually ended up having to animate some of the plates because
they were melting.
The shells were melting. Now, if that doesn't bring home... We couldn't use shots of Antarctica because they don't look like Antarctica anymore. That really, really should hit to our hearts. That global warming is something we really need to respond to.
Robin Williams was on Martha Stewart.
He was on Martha Stewart talking about that.
I don't know if you guys saw that episode, but Robin Williams plays 2 or 3 characters in Happy Feet, and he was on Martha Stewart talking about his roles, and he came out and said Al Gore is right.
Well, he plays 2. He plays Lovelace.
Mm-hmm.
Lovelace. who I think would have probably gone to Barry White if he was still with us.
Lovely.
Because he's got that kind of voice, you know.
He plays Lovelace and the little penguin.
Oh, yes. And he is looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yes, that guy. Started with an R. Romano, something like that.
Well, we're gonna
oh, jeez.
The brave part of the century. You can't remember the name of the penguin.
Can't remember the little penguin.
He's so adorable. And he was going to play, as he said, the Presbyterian penguin. But Hugo Weaving actually ended up playing the penguin who was rather stern and the decider of the Emperor
all about
Penguins
tradition.
All about tradition, and you got to see it. It's really fun.
It's not just tap dancing penguins, people.
No,
you know, for those of you who think it's just about tap dancing penguins, and it's not. And what did Robin Williams say? He called it. He called it. I forget. He said March of the Penguins meets River Dance. But yes, it is. Yeah, more March of the Penguins, but it is very very musical, and it's very enjoyable all around. And
yeah, for those of you who couldn't get through March of the Penguins, you'll get through Happy Feet. For those of you who just want Happy Feet to be all happy and not actually deal with anything having any relevance in the world, get over it. Go see Norbit. Let's see. Let's move on to art direction.
So we want Happy Feet to win.
But we think Cars will win.
We think Cars will win. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
I really hope Happy Feet wins.
Art direction. Now we're going to get into
art direction.
The nitty-gritty.
Art direction.
Because there are some really good films.
Ooh,
like
this
I said,
is a tough category.
I'm so glad that I did not have to make the decision on what was going to win here because it's just so difficult. Art direction, one of the 8 awards that Dreamgirls is nominated for. They're nominated in art direction against The Good German, another excellent film, and I believe Cate Blanchett's in that one too, isn't she? Pan's Labyrinth.
Don't remember.
Pan's Labyrinth. Guillermo del Toro. If you are an adult and you haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth yet, yes, you have to be an adult because it's
rated R.
R4. Really needed to be restricted.
But if you have kids and they're about 15, 16
plus.
and up, 15 plus,
Mm-hmm.
15 plus. It's good to see with your kids if they're 15 and up. Because we saw it together, and it's a good film for that. But it's not for the queasy. We should warn you.
Yes.
Warn you.
Yes.
There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of blood. It's just a touch of gore. Kind of dark, but there are some light moments too, and it's a good story.
It's an excellent story. It's such a strong story.
Who else we got here?
And then we got Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Who would have thunk? And The Prestige. Which people either got or didn't get.
We got it.
We got it. First of all, David Bowie playing Nikola Tesla.
Nikola Tesla.
So, first of all, Bowie playing Tesla.
Very complicated, very complex plot. It has a lot to do with time and space manipulation, and some people just don't get that. And
it really was. It's a great whodunit.
And I am into all that stuff.
It's a great
I absolutely love time and space manipulation. I love physics and the mysteries of the universe because that's my thing. And it was confusing at times, but it didn't move too fast for you to get it. It may have moved fast in some spots, but it was pretty good to follow, pretty easy to follow.
It has great continuity. It was a good
we got
film.
it at the end. Some people didn't get it.
I found out some people didn't get it. I was like,
But it's got a lot of twists and turns.
Wasn't that hard?
So great story, great plot.
And it comes out on DVD on the 20th? Yeah, February 20th. Yeah, right along with Babel. A lot of the Academy Award nominees are coming out on February 20th. So if you get a chance to grab them up and rent them, if you are in one of those cities where On Demand comes out the day that the DVD is released, you might want to do that this week and, just rent yourself some On Demand films and try to get them all in before the Academy Awards. And who knows, they have those contests online. You might win yourself some money and make some decent predictions.
Who do we want to win? Who do we want to win in art direction? Dreamgirls, The Good German, Pan's Labyrinth, Pirates of the Caribbean, and The Prestige.
This is such a difficult category, and I really need to say that. The Prestige is a period film. The Good German is a period film. Dreamgirls is a period film.
Pan's
Labyrinth is a period film. And, not only did they manage to capture the thematics of the story, but they capture the period all of those films almost flawlessly.
Yes, Pan's Labyrinth, for the record, is set post World War II or just at near the end of World War II. I think it's 1944.
It's near the end of World War II in what was, frankly, fascist Spain.
In fascist Spain, okay.
Yeah, and so 4 of those 5 are period films. Pirates of the Caribbean is just plain fun. Don't take it too seriously. There's some stuff in there that I wished wasn't in there.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean is actually a little period too, because it's set a little bit in the past because it's
supposed to be
I forget where
the
it's
1800s, 1700s, 1800s. I believe the 1700s, but
so actually it is a period film.
It
too.
is sort of. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's be frank. You're going to see a lot of anachronisms.
The first one was a little more period than the second one.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be during the time of the New Indian Trading Company. So,
so
it is sort of a period film.
Sort of.
Except for the fact that they were trying to make indigenous people in the Caribbean into cannibals, which they weren't.
That's a different discussion.
That's a whole nother discussion. That was something about Pirates of the Caribbean I was a little uncomfortable with. I know the third one's coming out this summer. They shot the 2 together, 2 and 3. There's nothing in terms of art direction in this category that I would eliminate it from, but when you compare it to the other 4 films, I mean, come on. It may have been probably the biggest money maker, but, to be honest with you, art direction should be for the good overall. And I would say in this extremely difficult category, I'm going to go with, and I think the Academy Award voters are going to go with Pan's Labyrinth.
You think that Pan's Labyrinth's going to win?
I will be absolutely delighted if it does. If Dreamgirls wins, it absolutely deserves to.
I think Dreamgirls is going to win. I want Pan's Labyrinth to win. But I think that I just have a feeling that they're going to give it to Dreamgirls.
I'm going to put all my money on one horse, and I'm going to say Pan's Labyrinth in this case. Pan's Labyrinth is nominated for 6.
Yeah,
I really think it can win half of those.
If it's not Dreamgirls, I think it will be Pan's Labyrinth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just have a feeling that this is Mexico's year.
and not to say that there's anything wrong with The Good German or The Prestige, because both of those films are just stunning.
Heck, there could be a complete upset and The Prestige could get it.
Yeah.
Or Pirates of the Caribbean.
And Christian Bale,
Yeah, The Prestige had very good art direction. The tint was just right, and it had good cinematography, but it was nominated in cinematography too, so it might get that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the next category.
That's the next category, actually. Yes.
So let's just go right to it.
In cinematography, we have The Black Dahlia, which is the murder mystery film out of L.A. Children of Men, Alfonso Cuarón.
Woo!
Yes.
Love that
film. So rocked.
Love that 6-minute shot without any takes, without any cuts.
Yeah. Oh, without any cuts.
That 6-minute shot without any cuts.
Anybody who's ever watched the old war correspondent stuff from the 60s of Vietnam War, anyone who has ever watched a very, very good war film, and there are many, who has been in war, will respect Children of Men. Some of you might have heard it was a bummer. It really isn't a bummer. It depends on how you look at the film. It does end on an uplifting note if you know how to look at it. But this film should be seen by every adult, because it should be.
Right.
And it's up against, unfortunately, the 2 best friends, Cuarón and Guillermo del Toro, are competing in cinematography for Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth, Pan's Labyrinth. The creators of Pan's Labyrinth and Children of Men are buddies.
Yes. And then there's The Illusionist, which didn't get a lot of attention. And I was actually surprised got nominated for Best Cinematography, not because it wasn't good enough.
People mixed it up with The Prestige.
Exactly. And this was the film with the little brother of the guy who's on Judging Amy, who was in Sideways.
Oh, that guy.
Yes.
And Big Fat Liar.
Yes.
For the teenagers out
there. For the
there.
Teenagers, yes. And he was in Lady in the Water, who played Cleveland.
Who played Cleveland in Lady in the Water.
Yes, and he's in that movie.
Which didn't seem to be nominated for anything this year, did it? Lady in the Water.
That's because it...
I'm just making an observation.
Was bad. But The Illusionist...
We did see it, by the way. Don't give us any hate mail. If you love the film, great.
Spent money and everything. The Illusionist was actually a pretty decent film. And The Prestige, of course, they're both in the same category in cinematography. That's another tough category.
Magicians movies, isn't it?
About prestidigitation. Ho, ho, ho. That's a tough category. I mean, all of those films are pretty solid films.
So once again, we got The Black Dahlia, Children of Men, Pan's Labyrinth, The Illusionist, and The Prestige for cinematography. Who do we want to win?
I want Children of Men to win, because I saw no flaws in that film at all.
Yeah.
Particularly where
I really
cinematography
like
is concerned.
Pan's Labyrinth, but I want Children of Men to get cinematography.
Yeah. I think Pan's Labyrinth will win, actually.
I want Pan's Labyrinth to get art direction.
Yes.
I want cinematography to get Children of Men. Just so Alfonso Cuarón and Guillermo del Toro will both leave with a gold statue in their hands.
With a big gold guy in their hands. Exactly. I mean, when you start talking about the actual technical and artistic aesthetic categories, usually the nominees are incredible, and this year is no exception, and which makes it difficult to decide. It really does. And but I just saw no flaws in Children of Men. Everything about that film, really, it was raw. If we
were just judging the films, we would say the same thing.
It was raw. It was beautiful. I mean, there's a scene in that movie that if you have a heartbeat, you're going to cry, just because of the drama of that scene. Yeah. And, for those of you who like, Letters from Iwo Jima, who really liked Saving Private Ryan, there's some of that in there for you. And, I mean, there's this scene and it just grips you.
Yeah, there's a little bit of other movies, a touch of other films,
yes.
In Children of Men.
And then there's touches of none. I mean, there are scenes in there you don't know how they shot it.
Right.
You literally don't know how they shot it.
The use of cameras and camera angles is just so creative, but it's not imaginative for imaginative's sake. It all has a purpose. It's
very authentic.
Yes, it is.
The reason you don't know how they got the camera angle is because it's so authentic, and you got an overall view.
I'm a filmmaker, so I try to figure it out, of course.
Right.
And I think I nailed some of it, but some of it if I ever meet Alfonso Cuarón, I have some questions for him. Share his secrets.
He said his cinematographer's like, not telling.
No. Because we love it. So you think they're going to give it to?
I think they're going to give it to Pan's Labyrinth.
Who are they going to give it to? They're going to give it to Pan's Labyrinth?
They're going to give it to Pan's Labyrinth. I would like them to give it to Children of Men. Because I think Pan's Labyrinth's nominated for 6. I think Children of Men's nominated for 3 or 4. I think Pan's Labyrinth's going to get at least 3
Children of Men's nominated for 3.
Okay, 3. Pan's Labyrinth's nominated for 6,
So Children of Men need some.
Yeah, exactly. Spread the love around.
Spread the love. The Academy, that then nobody hates you.
And I'll tell you, costume design isn't any easier.
So we think Pan's Labyrinth will win cinematography.
Yes.
And but we want Children of Men to get it.
Yes. Costume design: Dreamgirls, Curse of the Golden Flower, The Devil Wears Prada, Marie Antoinette, and The Queen. And all of those, again, are drawing to period fashion. Devil Wears Prada, not so much, but they're all drawing to period.
Well, Devil Wears Prada has a lot of clothes in it, though.
Yeah, a lot of clothes,
a lot of
clothes.
So we're glad it was nominated.
Marie Antoinette
has a lot of clothes in it too.
Great woman director. Wish she would have picked a different lead, frankly. To bring Marie Antoinette tonight. Kirsten Dunst just didn't carry it for me. The Queen, talk about having to grab a very interesting period, not that long ago, but full of angst and heartbreak, and grab that period, that time, that energy. It's a very tough category. But
Curse of the Golden Flower had a lot of colorful clothing in there.
Yes, beautiful, colorful,
and lots
period.
Lots of it.
And it's a tough category, but I want Dreamgirls to get it, and I actually think Dreamgirls may pull it off. Again, it's such a tough call, but I really I think its closest competition may be Curse of the Golden Flower or The Queen. It's just a tough category. But I want Dreamgirls to pull it off because they did. So many times I see people doing films on the 50s and 60s, and they'll do these kind of pseudo flashbacks, and it's not right. Yeah, particularly when you're talking about making sure that African American hairstyles are correct, making sure the clothes are correct, the materials of the clothing are correct. So many times I see people just kind of slack off on that. This film did it right. and that needs to be celebrated. It was a very difficult thing to do, and we need to celebrate the fact that was well done.
Yeah, I also think that maybe even Marie Antoinette might have a chance, because they had a bunch of different hairstyles in there too.
Well, gosh,
and
the French bourgeois, my God.
Yes, and they had very big dresses in there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ornate work.
So of course there could be a complete upset, and it might get it.
It might.
I think Dreamgirls will ultimately get it. Who do I want to win? I kind of want Dreamgirls to get it too. Devil Wears Prada I just liked.
It's such a fun film. It's different from the book, but it's fun, you know.
But I think it may have been just a tad easier because they had so much clothing in there, and they were throwing it around so much that they would have so many clothes in there.
And they weren't limited to a particular style of
right.
period
They weren't limited
as much as other.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, they were trying to project forward, not back. So.
Right. So Dreamgirls, yeah, Dreamgirls. All right. Next up. Best documentary feature.
Another really, really difficult category.
Oh, yes.
There were so many good documentary films this year. I don't even know how they set it on these five.
And one from a woman filmmaker, too.
Yes. And I don't know how they did it. Deliver Us from Evil, An Inconvenient Truth, Iraq in Fragments, Jesus Camp, and My Country are the nominees for Best Documentary Feature. Really, if you get a chance to see any of these films at any of the small art houses, or you have a cable system where you can order these on demand, you won't be wasting your money. And every living, breathing human being should have to see An Inconvenient Truth, just because if you don't understand global warming and you don't understand why it's important that we switch light bulbs and we stop guzzling gas.
See An Inconvenient Truth.
See An Inconvenient Truth.
It will change everything.
And like I said, I think you should actually package An Inconvenient Truth and The Day After Tomorrow together. Because if you there was more fact.
There was more fact in The Day After Tomorrow than fiction. To be honest,
exactly.
There was more fact than fiction in that. People call it science fiction. Well, it wasn't too far. It's not too far from where we're going, to be honest.
So you see one to inspire you so that the other doesn't happen.
Yes.
Because we don't do one, the other one...
Right. If we don't do what An Inconvenient Truth says, then The Day After Tomorrow might happen. And hey, even if we do something about it, it might happen anyway. But it might delay it a little longer. At least you're trying. The point is to do the right thing, you know.
And if you know, and a lot of people don't understand the issue of global warming involving blizzard, cold. And if you are in the sound of my voice anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, you know this year, this winter season, what I'm talking about when I say cold weather, really mean Alberta clippers, nor'easter type blizzard conditions, blizzard being one type of storm, nor'easter being another, those who've seen cold temperatures dip into places where it shouldn't, like in Florida and in California, where we're going to be paying, like, you know, they're going to be selling oranges on the corner instead of crack. Mark my words. By the summer, it's going to be like, $3 an orange. I got oranges right here. Anybody want an orange? I got a lemon.
Right. And anybody who lives in the Northeast who's getting all this cold weather, if any of you think that this weakens the concept of global warming, you are wrong.
Exactly.
You are wrong. Global warming also means global cold too.
Global extremes.
Weather extremes. Global warming causes extreme weather. Hurricane Katrina and Rita, global warming.
There we go. And this year, unfortunately, is predicted to be like 2005 with
a little later
spice
this year.
Added. And I don't even want to think about that because we had a tornado in New Orleans this week.
For the first time in February ever, on record.
Okay, they got giant chunks of ice.
A tornado this early in the season.
Of a bowling ball falling out of the sky in Tampa. See Day After Tomorrow. These are all signs of us reaching the tipping point.
I think we're over it.
I really hope we're not. But I kind of think we are. So you really need, even if you don't think they're worthy to win the best documentary feature, you really need to see An Inconvenient Truth just because.
Right, and let me just say something that was in An Inconvenient Truth to really convince you to actually go see this. Al Gore has a nice analogy in the film where he takes where he has a little animation of a frog and that goes into a boiling pot.
Yeah.
And there's this boiling pot there, and the frog jumps in. He feels that it's boiling, and he jumps right back out because it's hot, and he feels it. But if you put a frog in a pot and then slowly bring it to a boil, the frog's just gonna sit there and sit there and sit there until it's rescued.
And the analogy here...
or it finally comes to its senses.
Yes.
Guess who the frog is?
Yes. And the analogy being that when we have dramatic change, we tend to pay more attention to it than if things change slowly and slowly and slowly. Look,
it's been warming up slowly and slowly, but now we've been having these extreme storms, and now people are finally starting to pay attention, and you should. We can't stress this enough.
Yeah, we really need to pay attention to this because it's not just about entertainment in this instance. It's about literally our survival.
On this planet.
So we really need... planet will be here. Whether or not we're here...
I said our survival on this planet.
There you go.
Yeah, the planet will still be here.
It'll be here.
Yeah, we don't want to scare anybody, but...
It'll be here.
But if it takes you to get scared to see the film...
Those big ugly cockroaches, they'll be here.
And actually come to your senses. Anyone who hasn't come to their senses, please wake up.
Those giant flies... little blue flies. They'll be here.
This is really serious. Global warming is not a theory anymore. I know this is off on a tangent, but it's not a theory anymore. It's real. It's real. But we need to stop messing around and start taking action.
That's been a theory for me for 35 years.
Which will lead into our next discussion after we're done with the Oscars.
Nobody wanted to listen to me 35 years ago. I heard of it taking samples of carbon dioxide, like the atmosphere is warming up.
Exactly.
It's like, I get it. I don't know why,
exactly.
It was mostly politicking and people playing with the message, get it. It's like, I get that.
So we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that, but Iraq in Fragments is also an excellent
documentary
film.
Best documentary
film, yep.
Iraq in Fragments.
And My Country, of course. Another really, really, really tough category.
Jesus Camp.
Oh, my.
Which
raises... talk about scary.
Which raises awareness about another scary topic.
Yes, which is a whole another ball game. But let me just say
that one.
you said your kid there. You're gonna know it. But the documentary filmmaker wanted to capture this and show how there are individuals who send their children to places where children are being kind of indoctrinated in a way that is everybody comfortable with this, not comfortable with this. Yeah. Some might call it, a fundamentalist extreme on the Christian side rather than on the sides of religions that people tend to generalize that with. And, you wonder, wow, I saw that and I went, woo.
That's very frightening, and we kind of already knew this was going on, but a lot of people didn't, and we're really glad that this film got made, and also that it was nominated. We didn't get to see it, but I really wanted to see it, but it was obviously good enough to get nominated.
I saw too much of it.
You saw a lot of scenes from it.
Yes, I did. I saw a lot of it.
I saw a couple scenes from it, and this was
kudos
real
to the documentary filmmaker because that thing was scary.
This was real footage. Yeah, this was real footage, and that's what made it scarier, of children like praying at the base of this standee of George W. Bush, and this cardboard
at a standee.
A standee.
Yeah, a cardboard standee. Whatever happened to that idol worshipping thing?
We'll
but anyway,
leave that to your imagination.
Okay. Deliver us from evil. I really think that probably An Inconvenient Truth is going to take it. My Country, I think.
I hope An Inconvenient Truth wins it because maybe for those who still haven't seen it by the time they have the Oscars, maybe if it wins it, then maybe more people will go and see it.
And on another documentary note, for people who are not necessarily aware of this one didn't make it into the documentary feature nomination this year, may make it for next year based on time of release, but there is a film out about the Lost Boys of Sierra Leone called God Grew Tired of Us. It has a Pittsburgh connection because some of the Lost Boys actually came to Pittsburgh. It's an incredible film, so if you get to see that at your local art house, please do. There are just so many good documentary films this year. You can't even count them. It's a very, very difficult category.
Exactly.
I think any of those films stands a chance of getting an Oscar.
Yes.
And
But I think An Inconvenient Truth, more than us wanting it to win, we think it needs to win.
I think it needs to win.
It needs to
It needs
win.
the attention.
It needs the attention, really. Really seriously. 'Cause this is about the survival of ourselves on this planet, and we'll get into that later.
And, our responsibility as adults to our next generation. My
Right.
grandmother passed away a year ago. She was over 100. And you can imagine how much the world changed for her in a century. But she always embraced new things. She always embraced knowing more and learning more and doing more. But she also had respect for the understanding of how fragile our existence was. She never ate anything she couldn't pronounce, she said. She couldn't pronounce it on the first pass, she didn't
Good
eat it.
advice.
Needless to say, what Grandma did with monosodium glutamate. Anyway.
Glutamate.
Yeah, is it glutamate?
Glutamate.
Glutamate. See, can't pronounce it on the first pass.
Nope.
Don't eat it. What were we going to do to our children's children? And that was a tradition that she built in. What are we going to do with the seventh generation? Our actions today should honor our grandparents' grandparents. Our actions today should not endanger the welfare of our children's children. And she lived that. And she managed to live it with all of the trappings of modern society and lived thrivingly well for her century plus. So if she can do it, we can do it. And she never shrugged away from embracing, honoring, and respecting our fragile balance and stewardship of the earth. And, it's simple. It really is simple. And if anybody has any doubts about what they can do as an individual, you got to see that movie. So there it is. Documentary short. Yeah, documentary short. This is another tough category. Oh, Rehearsing the Dream and Two Hands.
First
Recycled
is
Life.
The Blood of Yingzhou District.
Oh, that's just such a tremendous film. And I think that one's going to get it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Recycled Life got any of these films. I'm telling you, it was a really, really good year. And it's just so hard to decide.
Rehearsing a Dream and Two Hands.
And Two Hands, yeah.
Rounds out the category.
Film editing. Another really good group of films. This is an impossible category. You've got Babel, Children of Men, The Departed, Blood Diamond, United 93. Pick one. But I'm going with Children of Men for that 9-minute unedited sequence, and then when it was edited, the blood splashing onto the camera lens, they didn't cut away.
We should get it for the lack of editing.
Lack of editing, yes. The ability to be able to deliver a sequence of action and tremendous acting and not cut away. Not turn away, not cut away.
I think Babel and United 93 had good editing, but I want Children of Men to get it, and I think it will.
I think it will. And, of course, The Departed has fantastic editing. Blood Diamond was really raw. Like I said, pick one. Again, really, really, really difficult category. And we move on to foreign language, which doesn't get any easier.
After the Wedding.
After the Wedding, which really, really, that's a great one. Days of Glory. There's another really good film down here, too, Water. And I gotta tell you, before Pan's Labyrinth came out, I would have said Water had this category locked up. If you have not seen Water, this is a must-see film. Too many people sacrificed too much to make sure that this movie got made. And I'm not going to tell you a thing about it, except to say that it's about a little girl and her tremendous courage when faced with a cultural practice that just is devastating to young women. And there were quite a number of individuals who did not want this film to be made. And I compliment the Canadian Film Board and the other governments who worked together in Canada and India to get this film made. It's a must-see. It is out, I believe, on DVD now because I know it's been out on cable for quite some time. See this film. Again, this is I would call it adult material film, but certainly if you have teenagers, I'd say on this one 14 and up would be just fine seeing water. And it is an important film for teens to see, male and female. Guys, don't worry, it's not that kind of film. It is a film, though, that talks about culture and tradition and spirit.
Yes, anyone can see this who's 13, 14 and up.
Yeah, 13. I'd even say 13.
13,
Mature 13.
Mature 13.
Mature 13.
Mature 13-year-olds, yeah. So, who do we want to win?
I really think The Lives of Others and After the Wedding have a chance. I don't think Days of Glory is out of the running. Water, I obviously have very strong feelings for.
I want Water to win.
I think they're going to give it to Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, so we didn't say before it was in this category.
Yeah, it's in this category.
Yes, Pan's Labyrinth is in this category. We got After the Wedding, Days of Glory, The Lives of Others, Pan's Labyrinth, and Water. We think Pan's Labyrinth's going to get it, which is great, but it's great that it's a tough category, that we've got a lot of tough categories this year, because that means a lot of great films have been made, and a lot of great films deserve it, and it's good that we're having a hard time decide who should get it and who's going to get it. And if Pan's Labyrinth gets it, I'll be happy, but if Water gets it, be real happy.
You're here. And then we move on to makeup.
Makeup.
Now, this is the weirdest combination of films I have ever seen in a single category. Like, ever. I've never seen. There's only 3, like the animation category. But who would have ever thought that you could have put Apocalypto, Pan's Labyrinth, and Click in the same
The Adam
category?
Sandler Click. Adam Sandler Click.
No, you're not dreaming. Click.
Click. The one with the remote.
Of course.
That stops time. Yeah.
A lot of people have to age in that film and then pop back and forward and back.
So that's probably why it's nominated. Yeah, if you think about it.
And they're probably all going, cool, we got nominated.
Yes.
And, we're talking makeup here. Obviously trying to pull out Mayan period makeup in Apocalypto. I have problems with Apocalypto on its premise, its makeup, its out-of-period Mayan pronunciations, which nobody else would know anyway, except for traditional people. So we are out there, we do exist, and we really hated the thematic meaning. But of course, it's Mel Gibson, who thinks he knows everything.
It's okay, Falcon.
Falcon's rant for the evening. Thank you. And Click is just plain cute.
That's Falcon's second rant for the evening.
That's Falcon's second rant for the evening. Yes, second rant for the evening. But anyway. And then, of course, we have Pan's Labyrinth. And those 3 in that category. I think certainly Click has some definitely makeup challenges. And I'm really glad they made it that far. I think Pan's Labyrinth should slam this.
I think Pan's Labyrinth should get it. And I think they will get it.
Mm-hmm.
Apocalypto is the closest one, the closest contender, I think.
And there was still some stuff out of period there. Like I said, they were mixing stuff together. They were just like all over the place.
Whereas Pan's Labyrinth is actually fantasy.
And also a correct period depiction.
Right. Which is why we give it more kudos.
Exactly. And they did an excellent job on the clothing in that period, on the weapons of that period.
Was it nominated for Best Clothing? Costume Design? I don't think it was.
Yes, it's in Costume Design.
Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah, I think it is.
No, it isn't.
It's not.
No, I don't.
Wow, I'm really surprised. But it's in cinematography, so.
Right. But, it wasn't nominated for Costume Design, but very good costumes. It was just all around a great film. So Pan's Labyrinth deserves to win big this year.
Yeah, makeup, my gosh.
Yeah, but makeup, yeah.
That horrifying guy down in the...
the guy with the eyeballs and the hands. The eyeballs.
If he doesn't give you nightmares, I'll tell you what. But, just the fawn. The fawn was
The fawn had wonderful makeup.
Yes.
Wonderful makeup. And,
Isn't the guy in The Last King of Scotland, the guy who played the fawn in The Chronicles of Narnia? The Glaswegian gentleman.
I don't know. Maybe. I heard something about that.
I knew his name, and of course, I'm sure they're
speaking
folks
of
in the UK going, you can't remember his name. But he's a cutie. But he was the fawn in Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, didn't Chronicles of Narnia come out in 2005 too?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so that was pretty good. A lot of people like that
movie. It got
movie.
nominated for something. I think it was Chronicles of Narnia and Spider-Man and something else.
Last year?
Yeah, special effects category or whatever. It was nominated for something.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
It was effects. It wasn't nominated for makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
For makeup.
Yeah.
So, Correct us if we're wrong on that. So we think Pan's Labyrinth is going to get it
yeah.
for makeup. All right, music score. I love this category.
Oh, another tough category. Babel. The Good German. Another excellent soundtrack. Notes on a Scandal.
Pan's Labyrinth
and The Queen. I think Pan's got this labyrinth. If you haven't been to the Pan's Labyrinth website, Google it, go there.
Yeah, it's got some great music on it.
And it just plays.
The music is wonderful on the site.
Really, really cool.
And it's right out of the movie, too. It's got this
and
wonderful
conversely,
music.
when we talk about Best Song, Dreamgirls has 3 songs nominated in the Best Song category. You think they're gonna get it? Me too! One from An Inconvenient Truth and one from Cars. And
An Inconvenient Truth, the song is I Need to Wake Up. Hint. I forget who sings that.
Melissa Etheridge.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, but there's 3 from Dreamgirls. These girls can belt it out. I think they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. And we win adapted screenplay and original screenplay.
So we think one from Dreamgirls is gonna get it.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And there's one from Cars to round out the category.
Yes.
And adapted screenplay.
I think it's gonna be Children of Men. I think it better be Children of Men
Who are
because
the others?
It's a really. I didn't write the others because I ran out of time. I was out of time.
Okay.
I had to get ready. I was out of time. An original screenplay, give it to Guillermo del Toro for Pan's Labyrinth. I think that's 4 out of 6.
Because it is an original screenplay,
He
which
wrote
is incredible.
This.
He wrote this.
The guy's like
He wrote this as an adult fantasy.
You can even see his drawings from his own sketchbook on his website. It's
not
really cool.
not a lot of people write adult fantasies.
It's just so nice to have a good bunch of movies. And before we go, I need to mention a new film coming out by director Michael Apted. If you haven't heard about it, it is called Amazing Grace. It is about exactly what you think it's about. It's about the origins of James Newton's song Amazing Grace. And James Newton is being played by one of my hearts, Albert Finney. And I believe this was his last film. So I think that is important in of itself. Mm-hmm. It is the only time ever that I watched a movie trailer. And I might say, I'll put a little asterisk beside that and say, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, I probably had a little tear in the trailer. But that's because I read the books. But I watched the preview for Amazing Grace, and I wept. Like, I couldn't even think about it. I just started crying.
Very good trailer.
And for those of you who do not know what Amazing Grace is about, it's about the origin of the song Amazing Grace. About James Newton writing the song Amazing Grace and what brought him to that epiphany to write that song. And this Sunday, in churches around the world, this Sunday is a day of honoring to sing Amazing Grace and to celebrate what the song meant and to celebrate what it stood for. This was a man who
what the words actually meant.
This was a man who traded slaves, who owned slaves, who utilized the slave trade market, and was out on a ship one night in a very, very bad storm and thought he was done for. And when the boat was keeling over on its starboard side, said, "Hey, I don't want to go this way. And God, if you just make sure I get through this night." It's great how they find God at that last moment, you know? It's like, "Hey, God, if you just get me out of this, man, just save my rotten butt. I promise I'll change." And he lived through it. He lived through the experience, and he did change his life. He actually became a preacher, and he wrote songs and changed his life entirely, and fought very hard with some other critical characters to abolish slavery. This in particular in the British trade, but of course for the greater good eventually to the abolitionist movement in the U.S. You need to see this film. You need to see this film. If I have seen, I don't even know how many thousands of movie trailers I've seen in my life. I've never cried in a movie trailer, ever. And I cried when I saw this because it was so deeply moving. Now, you and I both know how many times we have heard Amazing Grace in our lives.
Go on the internet and find that trailer.
Yeah, go on the internet, Amazing Grace movie.
.com, I think.
And
or go to Google.
Go to Google. Google it. Dogpilot, whatever you use. And go to that site. Get together with your family. get together on Sunday and sing it just for kicks. I don't care what faith you are. You've sung that song sometime in your life. And it's really about a guy who discovers, has the epiphany that there is something greater than himself. And he makes something, he writes something, composes something that becomes the inspiration for so many other people worldwide for now hundreds of years. It comes out on the 23rd in theaters.
The 23rd. Okay.
Friday the 23rd.
February 23rd. That's a Sunday?
That's a Friday. And the
Friday.
18th is the day that they're having this kind of
that's
international day
what I was
of
talking about.
Singing.
Yes, they want
Amazing
everyone to sing sometime on that day, Amazing Grace. And you can sign up on the website if you like, or just do it. But they want a lot of people singing Amazing Grace on that day. Now we will touch briefly on this new event that has been launched by Al Gore.
Yes, and
by Al Gore, and we already talked about the reasons why this is important. So we'll just talk about what the event is, and why you should be a part of it.
Those of you who remember Live Aid, we now bring you
Live
Earth.
Live Earth.
Earth Aid. Yeah.
Earth Aid.
Live
Earth
Earth.
Aid. Live Earth.
Yeah, it's going to be on 07/07/07. July
7th,
2007. That's pretty cool. And for you baby boomers who are just interested in trivia and are into the whole sevens thing, some of you baby boomers are thinking, oh yeah, I remember 7/7/77. What happened on that day? I'll tell you. On 7/7/77, the rock group Styx released their 7th album called The Grand Illusion. Remember The Grand Illusion? Yes. And what line was in The Grand Illusion that leads right into this whole Live Earth thing? That last stanza, someday soon we'll stop to ponder, what on earth's the spell we're under? We made the grade and still we wonder who the hell we are. Always stay with me. Totally pertinent to what's going to happen with a Live Earth celebration.
So basically, it's a big party for us to save us from ourselves.
We're going to celebrate while Rome is burning.
Right. Basically, it's a big
reason.
party. It's a big party. It's a big concert. It's a global concert happening on 7 continents, hundreds of cities. It's going to be a huge concert. So many bands are involved in this. There's going to be updates. They just launched this on MSN yesterday. MSN is in on this. Bill and Melinda Gates are in on this. Oh my gosh, there's a music artist in on this. Black Eyed Peas are going to write a song about it, about global warming, and it's called SOS, meaning Save Ourselves.
Yep. You
could go to their website. Oh, and here's the website, is liveearth.msn.com. That's the website, and it's a great website. It tells you everything about it. It's going to be one big party. We're really excited about this, and there's really no reason why no one should participate in this. I mean, it's an excuse to have a concert, first of all.
Lots of concerts.
To raise
24
awareness
hours of
about
concerts.
this. Yes,
and to raise
24
awareness.
hours of concerts.
To raise awareness, and I'm going to make a little prediction here. It's February. I'm going to say...
Today is February 16th.
Yeah, I'm going to say...
This comes out on the 18th.
That by July, or around July, we will certainly have had, in addition to the obvious global changes we're already having, some sobering changes that will bring into focus the impact of why it's important for us to have a Live Earth celebration, affirmation, consternation, and atonement. Kind of hate to put it that way, but it's true. Because by July 7th, we'll probably have had some more tinglings from the earth that say we need to get our act together. And hopefully we won't get spanked too hard. Hopefully we will be able to adjust our behavior accordingly and do the things we need to do and stand up, and in small ways we can make large changes. Change your light bulbs.
Yes, everybody thinks that this is so huge that they can't do anything about it.
Get a flex fuel vehicle.
Get a hybrid vehicle. If you can afford the investment, buy a hybrid vehicle, and it saves you a lot on gas.
Mm-hmm.
is 60 miles to the gallon. That's the Prius.
Yes, which is going to be adjusted downward next
Toyota
year.
Prius.
But still, what are you getting now? Okay, what are you getting now? Anything's going to be an improvement.
20, yeah.
Get something that's fuel efficient.
Right, if you can't get a Prius, get a van, because vans are a little more fuel efficient than cars.
Get a flex fuel van.
Get a flex fuel van, because they can take that E85 gas, that's the ethanol that's a little cheaper, so it'll save you some money with that too.
And don't worry about the corn market. I heard George W. say something earlier in the week, our president, about, we don't want corn prices to go up because the hog farmers are going to get mad at me. Let me tell you, we got plenty of corn. We can plant more corn in places where farmers are getting paid to keep fields fallow. That means bare. So we can make more corn, and flex fuel isn't just about ethanol. It's about any vegetable product. We can make a whole lot vegetable oil. We can burn in diesel engines with very little modification. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can burn. Do not be afraid to make the adjustments, because I think the penalty for not making the adjustments is too great to ignore. And then don't be afraid to put your size 8 narrow shoes up the butt of the appropriate politically elected official who answers to you. Here's an epiphany, America. They work for us. Of the people, by the people, for the people. We are the people.
Yeah.
It's not about them. It's about us. Put your shoe up the butt of whoever is necessary to get them to do what we elect them to do, which is the will of the people. But that means the people have to have will. Mm-hmm. So that means put the Twinkies down, put aside the chips just for a second, and make these small adjustments, small changes you can do individually, and then make the larger changes. Go to the website, see the suggestions they have. Go on and do it.
Yes,
It'll be great.
So some of the smaller suggestions, besides buying a hybrid vehicle or energy-efficient vehicle, is the small ones with buying energy-efficient light bulbs. We recommend General Electric's light bulbs.
Sylvania has an excellent
they're light bulbs that look like a little spiral.
Yeah.
They look like a little spiral.
Fluorescent spirals.
They last 5 to 10 years. And in that time period, it could save you $60 on your electric bill. It's a win-win situation.
Just think, if all of your light bulbs were like that, you don't have to change them anymore. You don't have to climb up on that ladder to get into that uncomfortable space. You don't have to have your light fixture coming down on your head for another 5 years.
You can save $60 per light bulb. So the more light bulbs you get, the better, and you're reducing your carbon footprint all the same. Just like that.
And if you have a little spit of land somewhere, if you have a window box, plant something. Improve your indoor air.
If you can afford to get a windmill.
There you go.
Get a windmill.
You know what? I'm all for windmill.
They're not eyesores. Everybody's saying like, they look like eyesores. Oh,
no, they
don't.
Be
quiet.
No, they don't. You know what's an eyesore? Smog. That's an eyesore.
Smog.
It's an eyesore. Yeah. It's a lung sore. It's a cancer sore. You know.
That's an eyesore. Well, a windmill is not an eyesore,
and
all right?
No, she means get a windmill. She means those cute little ones in the backyard.
Yeah, those
not
cute
that 600
ones.
foot high windmill. Although that's very nice. I don't think you could put that in your yard.
No.
But it's a thought. But, get something that is going to help reduce your carbon footprint. Get some solar panels, you got some extra cash lying around. But you don't have extra cash lying around, and you're just looking out your very barren windowsill. Get a window box and improve your indoor air.
Especially if you live on a place that has a lot of wind. That there's no reason for you not to get a windmill unless you don't have the money. But if you have a windmill and you have a lot of wind, you're going to make enough energy to run your entire house and maybe a couple other houses. And then the electric company is going to start paying you. You like that?
You.
Ooh,
I like that.
You like that?
I like that. I think paying me is a very nice thing.
And also another website to go to is climatecrisis.net. That is an Inconvenient Truths website, and that has a lot of really good tips.
Don't you have some of these links on your website?
Yes. Yes, and they will also be in the show notes of this episode. So,
that's at AreyaSimmons.com. That's AreyaSimmons.com.
And
check it out.
And in order to get to the Falcon and the Dove page, just go to AreyaSimmons.com/Falcon. Falcon and the Dove, and you can find the show notes there. And there will be a link to the Falcon and the Dove page, obviously, on the home page, and there's some really simple ways to do this. You don't have to knock yourself out to reduce your carbon footprint. There are really simple ways to do this, and no reason not to do them. So
there we go.
So come out on July 7th to these concerts. There'll be updates in the future about when your city is going to get these concerts. More updates. Go to liveearth.msn.com and subscribe to the newsletter or subscribe to the live alerts, and they will tell you.
Most of us will be watching these on our computer or on NBC.
Right, and we will keep you up to date on this.
We're not going to be able to get there.
Right.
But we're going to be able to watch them, which is really cool. We're going to be able to get greater ideas, greater sharing, greater global consciousness, greater awareness, more information out there on what we can do to make some changes, because it's time. Happy New Year to everybody for Chinese New Year.
The quote of the week: "The unwillingness to forgive is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die."
That would be a problem, wouldn't it? So, okay.
Forgiveness is cool.
Forgive them anyway.
Forgiveness is cool.
Not for them, for you. So you can move forward. Because you can't put anything else in your basket if it's already full. So you gotta take some of the old junk out. Right? So, there it is. About forgiveness. I forgive Eddie Murphy for doing Norbit. See? I'm already moving forward. I am the Falcon.
And I am the Dove. Thanks for joining us. This was a long episode, but come back next week and it'll be a fun one. Thank you. Peace out.